Flamboyant skeptic James Randi fails to detect fraud in his own home. Or was he part of the fraud? Apparently the unamazing Randi, the closed-minded skeptic from Florida, who claims, without proof or anything on record, to have debunked more than 100 psychics and faith healers in a quest to rid the world of hucksters, was apparently not able to detect a hoax under his very own roof. Either that, or he was aiding and abetting, being an accessory to a serious crime. We are told that Jose Alvarez, the male companion of Randi, for the last 20 years, has reportedly been charged with stealing a New York man's date of birth and social security number in 1987 to obtain a U.S. passport. A grand jury indicted Alvarez a couple of weeks ago on a charge of passport fraud, a crime punishable by up to 10 years in prison, and aggravated identity theft, which automatically tacks 2 years in prison onto any other sentence. Apparently, Alvarez, or whatever his real name is, entered the United States illegally. He was about 20 and formed a relationship with Randi then aged 62. Now the prosecution has to decide whether or not the unamazing Randi knew anything about it for over 20 years. If he did, they would have discretion whether or not to charge Randi at the extreme end, that is also a jail sentence. Read more. Amazing Randi companion and artist, Jose Alvarez, facing charges of using a false identity to have day in court. By Kate Bradshaw, Wednesday, September 21, 2011, at 4:13, category, crime. As he sat in court, the man known as Jose Alvarez looked better rested than he did in his mugshot, taken in the groggy early morning nearly 2 weeks ago. Since his arrest, a federal grand jury has indicted Alvarez on charges of false statement in application and use of a passport, and aggravated identity theft. Devoted New Times readers should be familiar with this guy. For more than 2 decades, he's been the partner of James the Amazing Randi, the renowned illusionist/skeptic. In that time, Alvarez made a name for himself as a visual and performance artist. His bond hearing was supposed to be today. His attorney, Susan Mitrovsky, who was clearly under the weather, asked for a postponement. Judge Lorana Snow granted it. "I really need more time with this," Mitrovsky, her voice heavy with laryngitis, later told the New Times, outside the courtroom. "You only get one shot with a bond hearing. We need to adequately prepare, and the courts understand." She said in order to get him out on bond, she has to show he's not a danger or likely to skip town. "My client is neither," she said, proving the first will be easy. "It's the latter that'll be a bit more of a challenge," Mitrovsky said, but she's confident she can pull it off. His friends and supporters will not only sign personal surety bonds, but will put up money and their own property to attest to his character, she said, though she declined to get into specifics on who, what, or how much. "I certainly have enough character letters from around the world." Alvarez has been in custody since September 8. If found guilty on all counts, he faces up to 12 years in prison. The new date for his bond hearing is October 4 at 10 a.m. Federal authorities say that James Randi's companion, often by his side for the past 20 years, is one of the most common frauds there is, an identity thief. Authorities say they still aren't sure who Alvarez really is, and it is unclear if Randi is cooperating with them. He told the Sun Sentinel that the attorneys he hired to defend Alvarez have advised caution. Alvarez, who purportedly is 43, was charged with stealing a New York man's date of birth and social security number in 1987 to obtain a U.S. passport. A grand jury indicted Alvarez on Wednesday on a charge of passport fraud, a crime punishable by up to 10 years in prison, and aggravated identity theft, which automatically tacks 2 years in prison onto any other sentence. For Alvarez to be released, he may have to reveal his true identity, which would be tantamount to an admission of guilt. "He's in an interesting box," said Jeffrey Neiman, a former federal prosecutor, who is now a defense attorney based in Fort Lauderdale. "I can't imagine a magistrate judge giving a bond without knowing who it is they are giving the bond to."